All right, this week I'm going to go over a quick rant on getting your priorities straight. Now, getting your priorities straight, you have in a sense, like two extremes of the mentalities. You have in a sense, like extreme ownership and growth mentality, and you have the victim mentality. Most people nowadays are the victim mentality, quick to blame other people, other situations, and everything else for their problems. Now, the extreme ownership and the growth mindset is that you're actually taking responsibility for yourself. Now, you need to separate what you have control over and what you don't have control over. The things you have control over are your community, the people that you surround yourself with, and the digital content that you get into. Are you getting into the garbage material that's out there digitally? It harkens to my video of social media. Is that a blessing or a curse? It can be both, or it can be either or, and you are in a sense the product of your environment. So like what you let in digitally is a part of your environment. You have control over that. The same thing goes for the people that you surround yourself with, and that's your community. So like for instance, the happy hour analogy, if you're surrounding yourself with drunks, chances are you're going to be a drunk yourself. If you surround yourself around with the people, both physically and digitally, stuff like people that you go to the gym and you surround yourself with people like that are like, hey, look, I'm here to get shit done, I'm here to get to better myself. Chances are you're going to be the same way and everything. The adage, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And so if you're surrounding yourself with negative people that are sitting there gossiping about people and quick to point the finger at other people, chances are you're going to get into that victim mindhood that I mentioned. And having been there when I was back in my drinking days, that's no way to live. Always blaming other people, other situations, everything else for your problems that you need to take ownership for. The second thing that you have control over is your nutrition, what you eat. The good old adage, you are what you eat. So you got to ask yourself, why am I a ding dong? Why am I sitting here shoveling garbage into my mouth? I'm not a garbage disposal unit, so I need to start eating healthy. That's what I have control over. I don't have yes, I don't have control over how grocery stores are set up and how they market their products, because most of the products that grocery stores have, they set up and market towards their most profitable items, pretty much your garbage, your candy, your in your center section of the store, like your canned goods, like your processed shit that you don't need. So like the old adage that you stay on the outskirts of the grocery store, where the produce section is, your dairy, your meat department, your seafood. So that way you get actual real food and you're not buying garbage, because like I said, you're not a garbage disposal unit. Number three is your training, being physically active every day. You have control over that. Now, does that mean you're going in and lifting heavy every single day trying to set a PR? No, you set up a program so that way you can be physically active every day, so you don't set yourself up for injury. You bust your ass for a week, you get injured and have to take 2 months off, which leads into the recovery. You be smart about it, and which you have control over, setting up yourself the typical lift and splits, for example, like push pull legs, full body. You give yourself ample time in between each of those lifting sessions to be able to recover from them. And with recovery, you have control over your sleeping habits. Are you staying up till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, flipping through scrolling through your phone on social media, getting through the typical bullshit that's out there? Are you doing the Netflix and chill, oh, I gotta see my latest TV show episode, and then you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to work and everything, so you're only getting 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours of sleep at most? You have control over that. Now, the less sleep you get is, like, in a sense, a direct, you could say, is a direct correlation to your mental health, because like you wake up, you're all tired, and like you have to sit there and turn to things like your energy drinks, like your Monsters and your Red Bulls and everything, which aren't good for you to begin with. So your sleeping schedule you have control over. Instead of staying up to 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night doing the good old like scrolling through your media feed, like, oh shit, I gotta get to bed, or doing the good old Netflix and chilling, like, you get to bed, like, okay, I have to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get myself ready for work at like 7 o'clock in the morning, because you might be working at a blue collar job, for example, in this instance. So you get to bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, so you can get like a full 8, maybe 8.5 hours of sleep, and then you get up and you feel refreshed, and you don't necessarily have to rely on those energy drinks. So that's another thing you have control over. And with the sixth point, fifth point, actually, you actually have control over like how you work on your mobility. Are you doing things like the dynamic and static stretching? Are you doing yoga? So this way you can actually move like a typical human, or are you just like in a sense like sitting in a chair all day, just like being the classic bump on a log? That's something you have control over as well. Your mental health, like you have control over, in the sense that like hey, look, I need to take control of my mental health. I have in my past I've had substance abuse, or like okay, look, I have depression, I need to like sit here, maybe get with a professional, and maybe I'm at the point where I do need medication. But like all the other stuff that I mentioned, like if I'm in the point where I still need medication, I'm doing everything else that I mentioned that you have control over. I may only have to take 5 milligrams of this one medication for my depression once a day, versus 10 milligrams 3 times a day. You have control over like how you dictate, like, hey, look, this is the stuff I need to do to take care of my mental health and everything. So, and the pretty much to tie that all together, you have control over how consistent you are. Now, of course, there are things that are like out of your control, which is basically everything else. So there are stuff that does come up from time to time, like your car may break down. So like you may had the plan to go like to the gym after work and everything, but on the way there you get a flat tire. Hey, look, that's something out of your control, and so like you have to like take it to like quickly to the mechanic to get it fixed. And so like you weren't maybe able to get to the gym like you planned on it, like so you have to go home, and like instead you have to like pivot, like okay, now like I usually go to the gym, like using the blue collar job, I work from say 7 to 3:30. I usually go to the gym from like 4 to 5 before I get home. So I had to pivot. Now I spent that hour and a half before like I went home fixing that flat tire. I pivot, I get home. Maybe I, instead of like doing like a lifting session that I planned on doing, like maybe I can do like a quick half an hour yoga class that I can find online or something. I pivot so that like, oh hey, look, I still got something done. I still get that sense of accomplishment, even though hey, like look, this came up and everything. So that's pretty much the stuff that you have control over. Is like I've said before, like the 7 pillars. Those are the stuff that you have control over, and you don't have any control over pretty much everything else. So once you get everything under your control locked in, the stuff you don't have control over, you're able to handle a lot easier. So instead of having that mental or emotional breakdown every single week, you're able to like detach yourself and step back and be like, oh hey, look, so-and-so was being an asshole to me. Look, I have no control over it, like so-and-so. They may be going through something, I don't know. I'm like, you don't take things personally, and you don't like sit there and like okay, well, like I'm trying like to do something at work, and then they're an asshole towards me because maybe I'm doing something slightly wrong, and like one of my bosses comes over and like, okay, here, try this instead. instead of like freaking out at my coworker about being an asshole, me doing something wrong, I'm just like, okay, he's an asshole. I ignore it. I have no control over that. Instead of having that, like I said, that emotional breakdown where I'm like, oh my god, they're an asshole to me. I need to take 10 minutes to like gather myself. You have like with doing everything, getting all that stuff that you have under your control in order, you're able to, in a sense, control. Like it gets to like the smart recovery concepts of like controlling your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. You're able to control that stuff a lot easier, and like which is like in a sense, like with the pillar 6, you have like your mindfulness down. Your life gets so much better when you actually start taking ownership of everything that you have control and your actions and how you react to other things, instead of sitting there using the victim mentality to blame everything and anything else for what you have control over. Now, like that tends to be quite common because people want to control stuff that's outside their control, not realizing like, hey, look, all the stuff that I just mentioned is the only stuff that you have control over, and you need to get that stuff in order. And once you do, you'll find that like and now of course it's going to take several months if not years, and it's a process, but you'll find that you are going to be able to handle life a lot easier once you get control, once you get those habits in order of the things that you can control and not worry about the stuff that you don't control.